I have Kathy Malone's official card in front of me. It rarely happens. I usually lose them immediately in the washing. It says winemaker, Hillside Winery, Bistro. Do you have any other job descriptions besides winemaker?
Well, I do report directly to the president, so I think I'm the VP of winemaking.
Ah, there you go. I like.
No, that winemaker is pretty all-encompassing.
When you started, and you had, I mean, those vines that you initially started with when you came over from Mission Hill, they were planted in 1984, Gamay Noir and Muscat.
Right.
Where are we now in terms of plantings, Kathy, at Hillside?
Well, they had added a vineyard, an additional vineyard property that's just up behind the winery, just across from the KVR, the Hidden Valley Vineyard. And that was planted in 2000 and 2001. And so there's Merlot, Syrah, Gewürztraminer there, tiny little bit of Kerner that we do our ice line from.
Nice.
So yeah, all of our Syrah comes from that vineyard, and you know, a fair bit of Merlot, and a lot of the Merlot is used in the rosé as well.
Jay Drysdale, every time I talk to him, says, more Gamay. We need more Gamay. Of course, he's committed himself to Gamay.
Yeah.
Do those Gamay vines stick around?
Oh yeah. They're still there. We've in the past, some past vintages, we've augmented it with another vineyard, and we decided 2 years ago that it would be part of our single vineyard series, and so that we call it now Founders Block Gamay. So it's strictly focusing on that block. So again, that limits us to under 200 cases a year. But you know, I think it's important for people to know exactly where that fruit comes from, if it's a distinctive vineyard in that way, that the vines are that old, and it was you know, a choice made by Vera, our founder. So yeah.
And by the way, and because you have been president of the Narromanta Bench Wineries Association, you think overview. I know you always do anyway, even if you're not in that position. Give us an overview on the bench 2020, how they've survived these first 6 months.
Yeah, well, it's different, that's for sure. You know, early on it felt pretty doom and gloom because especially some of the smaller wineries really rely on direct-to-consumer visits to the wine shop.
Sure.
Right, and we wondered if that would even happen this season at all. But the association got together when reopening started to be discussed, and actually invited wineries that weren't in the association as well, and distilleries and cideries, and because they felt it was important to sort of come up with a unified protocol.
Sure.
And we don't have such a thing, but everyone has the same information available to them. We brought Sandra Oldfield in to advise on what the protocols should look like. And so I think by and large, the wineries on the Narromanta Bench are very safe and sort of going to the limit of what they can do to ensure the safety of their customers and mostly of their staff. And what it means is actually a far better tasting experience. You know, at Hillside now, it's by reservation only. It has to be pre-booked. Groups of under 6, that's by law. And we do a 45-minute, tutored tasting, basically. So, you know, people are getting a very comprehensive look at the wines.
Wow.
And they're loving it, you know, and they're buying more, so we're loving it.
Now, as you know, Kathy, some people who come in, they don't care. They want to taste as many wines as possible and go to the next winery. So if you can get them to slow down, and appreciate the story behind each of those wines,
Yeah.
It's good.
I know, that's the problem. It gets to be sort of a cocktail party atmosphere after
Yeah.
a couple of stops, and I think that has it impacts everyone's experience, and this has just forced us to take a step back and I think bring wine tasting back to what it should be, which is wine tasting. Not a big party
What
party
about
like
wine? What
craft
about
by the
wine?
wine.
What about wine sales, Kathy?
Well, our e-com sales have been, well, we put a lot of effort into it, and they've skyrocketed, right? We've offered free shipping from the start, and we'll continue to for the rest of the year. And we have a really good wine club. It has a lot of, it's a loyalty points based wine club, but there's a lot of options of different levels. And so we've had lots and lots of wine club signups, both online and through the wine shop, because I think people want to ensure they keep the supply coming, So, yeah.
Now, I wanted to talk about the label change. Do you have the white label anywhere near you? Have you got the Reserve Malbec or any of those white labels? Because I have a black one.
Oh,
I could hold up a black one.
yeah.
Okay.
Just that.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to move this down here because that's not working for me. Hold on. I'll be right there. Hold on. I'm just changing my camera. I'm just getting down low here.
Mine is slightly stained.
That's okay. It's authentic.
Yeah.
So this is the Merlot from Hidden Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, those of you who have been used to another Hillside label, this is the new label, and it's very handsome, right? With lots of information on the back. And where's your white
So
one?
this is one of the things that we did is we really spent a lot of time working on the tiering of the portfolio, right? So that people can immediately see where each wine fits in. So this is our entry level, our lowest tier label. So most of the, well, I guess about half of the whites are in this label, and you can see it's shiny.
Isn't it great?
And then there's an intermediate tier that you don't see because most of those wines are just being bottled now, and that's our Heritage series.
Sure.
And so it has gray and darker gray at the bottom, and the die cut.
Yeah.
Similar to the one that you have. And then the next level up is the one that you have, which is the single vineyards. So,
all right.
And then Mosaic is still, a twinkle in our eye. It will be completely different, but
define Mosaic.
Lovely. Mosaic is our Bordeaux-inspired red blend. Our top.
When are you releasing?
We have the new label won't be until the 2017 vintage. We bottled that as shiners so that we could roll out the new label. And right now we're selling the 14 vintage. So we've got a couple of years to work on it.
How many wineries around you are selling a 2014 anything?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm saying I can't remember.
I know. We have the single vineyard reds. We had bottled in the old label, and we liked the new design so much. We soaked and relabeled with the new label. But last year we were selling 2012s all across the board, all three vineyards for 2012. So it was a vertical or a horizontal. It was kind of cool. And now we've got a 13, a 14, and a 15. And so it's kind of a vertical, but it isn't because it's three different vineyards. So it's like a diagonal, right? But people are, and we also released, we had done a project with an outside player, a potential project in 2012 or with 2012 blend,
Sure.
Merlot blend that we have now released under our own label. So we have that offered in the wine shop, and people just love the opportunity to taste an older wine. And, you know, 2012, it's not that old.
No,
And
it's not.
I mean, it tastes, the fruit is still stunning in
But
it.
neither is 27 minutes, which is about how long it takes them to get the wine home out of the
know,
back
and
seat of
drink,
the
I
trunk
know.
and onto the counter.
Yeah.
For some folks, that is aging a wine. And as you know, Reese Pender constantly is talking about aging BC wines. Give them
Yeah.
a chance. All right, buy 3, put 2 down, drink 1. Just
Yeah.
leave them alone for a while. Forget that they're there. Hide them on yourself,
Yeah.
and then come back to them. You will be so rewarded.
Well, and we find as the vineyards get some age on them, I think the wines become more ageable.
Yeah.
I think, you know, some of those early vintages probably, you know, didn't have longevity, but as time goes on, we're finding the wines are supremely ageable, especially Naramata bench wines, because the pH is so low. You know, the fruit is so sound, and you know, with that acidity, with that balance, they can age maybe for decades. You know.
She is Kathy Malone. You've heard her on this show before. You've certainly seen her. She is the winemaker at Hillside Winery Bistro on the Naramata Bench. When we come back in this 2-part interview, on Zoom, by the way, and we both cleaned up for this interview, we're going to go through the releases that you're seeing on the shelves now, or if you're lucky, in the wine club as well. So stand by for Kathy Malone doing the run down the wine list right after this. Kathy Malone, winemaker, Hillside Winery and Bistro. I'm Terry David Mulligan. This is Tasting Room Radio. We're on the Naramata Bench, friends. And I'm pleased to, I know you love this part of the gig simply because you get to talk about the wines that you've been watching all these years. The first thing I opened and chilled was a 2019 unoaked Pinot Gris. Were we screaming for unoaked, or did you want to make an unoaked?
Well, when I started at Hillside in 2008, they made a Pinot Gris that they called Reserve Pinot Gris, and it always had some barrel fermentation.
Yeah.
And it fit well. It was fruit from Oliver, and you know, it's big, lush, tropical Pinot Gris, and it did well in barrels. But that year, we also acquired a contract for a vineyard in Naramata, just above Naramata Village, just down the street from me, actually, and which is gave us fruit that is mostly what you're tasting there. Beautiful orchard fruit, you know, white peach, green apple, just this bright zing of fruit. And I felt that the fermentation in barrel would just lose that, and so we really wanted to showcase that.
Yeah,
so
you kept the citrus in there. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So we split the portfolio and went into unoaked. And I know it's a little cumbersome now, but knowing our history, it makes sense. And it has quite a following. It's our biggest SKU by far.
Price point?
22, I think.
Just take a guess.
Yeah,
I actually should have warned you. I said I was going to ask about price points.
I know.
All right.
I think in our wine shop it's 22, but I might be wrong.
I think
maybe
we'll get to the wine club in just a second. The 2018 Viognier. I'm a huge Viognier fan.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations on this release.
Oh, thanks. I really like it too. Again, we have some barrel fermentation in this one, but this time it's French oak, and it's only about 30%, and about a third of that is new. So it's, you know, it's mostly, it's not so much about oak flavor that we're aiming for there, but the lees association, the lees contact. So we keep it in the barrel for about 6 months and stir it a lot, and that brings a nice creaminess to the palate. And so,
by the way, I will tell the audience that it's 8:30 on a Monday morning. This is hard slogging, but you know what? Once it's done, it's out of the way, Kathy. I won't bother you. until we see you in
Okay,
person. I
I'm
see
not
a note.
bothered.
I see a note about the 2018 Viognier, upcoming 2019 vintage of Viognier will be included in the Heritage Series ETA August. You sticking to that?
Yeah, well, we're bottling next week. It's
Very cool.
staged and ready to go into the bottle. We just got the labels on Friday, so once it gets through the VQA panel, um, we don't have a lot of issues with bottle stock because we have a swanky, new to us, not new to us. We bought it new in 2009,
Okay.
bottling line, and yeah, so it likely will be end of August.
Honeysuckle, um, a spicy note way in the back end. I love this Viognier. Perfect for BC Day, but I may be rushing things. 2017 Reserve Malbec, the first to be released red with the Naramata Bench sub-GI designation. Yay!
Hmm.
We took the gamble before the ruling
Yeah,
was confirmed.
yeah.
You just, okay, we're going to live with this.
Yeah, so I did a lot of work on the sub GI uh,
Yeah.
front. I was part of the committee that sort of pushed it forward, and it was hard because there's over 40 wineries on the Naramata Bench, and there's like 245 vineyards that have to vote, and a non-vote is a no vote. It
Yeah.
has to be an affirmative vote. So
Wow.
there was a lot of work to be done, making contact with people and explaining what it was all about, and getting it happening. And so when we printed the labels for this wine, we were pretty sure, but we knew, I think we knew the results of the vote, but it still has to be passed by the legislature. It has to come down as an order in council. And so we took the chance, and it worked out okay. And as you can see with our new labels, we're hardwired to be Naramata Bench. The sub GI is embossed into the label.
Listen, that is a well-earned brand. We know the bench. We know the Naramata Bench well out in front of just about every other region. But you've worked every year on raising that profile. Yeah,
well, we believe in it. I mean,
sure.
You get the feeling that was a mosquito.
Way to go.
You can tell by the way I talk, I really like the fruit from the bench. I just think we have a really good a winning spot for growing grapes of many varieties.
Yeah.
And there are many winning spots all over BC, and I think it's really important for people to know that the grapes came from each spot, and so that they can assess the effect of that terroir on their wine. And so really having the sub GIs is the only way to go. You don't have to put the sub GI on your bottle if you want to make a blend, and blends are lovely too. It's just a different way to approach the wines, and people like to do both, and should.
I just want to let everybody know the 2017 Reserve Malbec is spectacular.
Oh, thanks.
New, 40% new and used French oak barrels. And if you can just, again, leave it alone for just a little bit, let it settle, give it a year if you want.
Yeah,
it will reward you tenfold.
It's even one of those wines that if you can't drink the whole bottle, it may, I mean, it does well if it's decanted, right?
It does well to decant it, but,
and
but
if it's overnight on your counter too, the next night it's going to be lovely.
It is, you know what? But I put mine, I've just taught myself to put it in the fridge, but I bring it out and let it warm up again. Just keep the freshness there. It was a wonderful drink second day.
Nice.
Now, the Viognier, what's the price point? Do we know?
It would have been smart for me to bring that with
Never
me,
mind.
wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take you off the hook and I'll put them on the website so that people can, you just go to tastingroomradio.com and mulliganstew.ca, and I'll have all the price points there, the official price points. All right.
Okay.
Now, three Merlots. Tell us about the vineyards in each.
Oh, wow. So the Joas Vineyard Merlot is actually just across the street from from the winery.
Can I just say,
Um,
Kathy, that it's GJOA?
yeah, there's a funny story there, actually. The first year that we made these wines, we always had called this the Taylor Vineyard because it's owned by a woman named Joa Taylor. And we, so when we went to bottle, we just put that on the label. And we got a really, really nice, really sexy write-up actually in the Globe and Mail. And the next day, Joa Taylor emailed me and said, "Nice review, Kathy. In future, I would ask you to put the proper name of the vineyard, which is Joa's Vineyard, on the label." And I said, yes, okay, I understand, but maybe we want to stick with Taylor because now we've got some traction because we have this great review. And she said no. And she's a land lawyer, so I said okay. And it's been, I mean, it's a lovely name, but it's hard for people.
Joa.
Yeah. We like it now. We're used to it.
It's
anyway.
below the road. Now we're
so
getting
it's
into
below the road. So
below the road.
There's a lot of talk in Naramata about above the road, below the road.
Below the road.
The reason for that is the road, Naramata Road, is exactly where what was thought to be the shoreline of Glacial Lake Okanagan was.
Oh man!
So during the last ice age, the lake was up to that level, and so the vineyards that are below the road were lake bottom, and the vineyards that were above the road were on the shoreline, but also subject to seasonal flooding.
Yeah.
So what you see, as opposed to some areas like further south in the Okanagan, you see more clay and silt in the soil, and
Sure.
And then below the road even more, right? So typically what we see, the difference we see between the Joas Vineyard and the Hidden Valley Vineyard that are a 9 iron apart, which I guess means really close. Duncan always says that they're a 9 iron apart. Is that the Joas Vineyard has deep sort of soy umami flavor on the palate, like just this very sort of intense savoriness, whereas the Hidden Valley Merlot is sort of more bright fruit and more classic Merlot style.
16 months in barrel.
Yeah, they typically get a good time in barrel. Not a lot of new oak because it's not, I don't want to swamp the fruit with oak flavors. I just want to mature the tannins nicely.
And the 2014, I will say it again, the 2014 Hidden Valley Merlot, which is just above the winery, a little sort of a
Hidden Valley, yeah,
a little hollow.
Yeah, it's a bowl-shaped valley, so it's kind of a heat sink. We're able to ripen Syrah in there, which is amazing to me.
So you can actually do an above the road, below the road taste comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's not a lot of this around, right?
No, we typically make about it because it's based on a tank size. It works out to between 168 and 180 cases.
Yeah.
Just so because when we're finishing the wines, I want to make sure I can keep the tanks full. So we're focused on that volume.
Okay.
We grow more than that, but the rest of the fruit goes into our Mosaic and our Merlot Malbec and our other wines.
The 2015 Dickinson Merlot is sensational.
Yeah.
Below the road.
Yeah, Dickinson is also below the road. It's about halfway to Naramata Village, and it's on one of those slopes that go down from the road and then end at the bluff, right? End abruptly at the bluff, and now you're looking out onto the lake, but you're 50 feet above it, whatever. And so the sun exposure is phenomenal in those kind of spots, right? It's a
Wind.
beautiful vineyard. It's younger, the vines are younger, and so each year, you can sort of see added flavors and maturity, and it's a spectacular vineyard. Walking through the fruit in the fall, you'd think it was blackcurrant, not grapes.
So Kathy, as you mentioned, Kathy Malone, by the way, Hillside. It's a vertical, but it's not a vertical. The 2013 Joa's Vineyard Merlot, the 2014 Hidden Valley Merlot, and the 2015 Dickinson Vineyard Merlot. I would love everybody, it would be great if you could taste them side by each and bring your friends around, because these are fabulous wines. But gathering them all up, is it going to be a trick? Do you have to be part of the wine club?
No, these are all available at the winery or online. We often one will be part of the wine club shipment, but they're not wine club exclusives.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how different are they from each other to you?
It's really funny because I every time I taste them, and our wine shop staff has this same experience. They have in their mind that, the Dickinson is my favorite, and then the next time they taste it and say, well, wait, I really like the Joa. Today the Joa is, so I think it has a lot to do with what you're eating, the barometric pressure, those kinds of things. I think that they're just all really nice in different ways.
Okay. Here, Kathy, I know you have to go. Here's the deal. The last time I talked to you, or the time before, I was doing a Merlot special, and the headline was, "Are we taking Merlot for granted because it's the most planted grape in British Columbia?" And I got comments from everybody. You obviously have made your commitment to Merlot.
Yeah, I know.
Have we made our commitment to Merlot?
Well, I hope so. Merlot got a bad rap, and it actually, I think it was deserved in the early aughts. I think that growers and winemakers did take Merlot for granted and spent a lot more time and effort fussing about ripening of Cab Sauv and Cab Franc, and reducing crops, and with the impression that Merlot is easy, and it isn't. And so we had a lot of Merlots that were underripe tannin and underripe fruit, and hard to drink. Like, wine shouldn't hurt. Right? That's the opposite of what it should do. And so, I think that partly because we had a couple of really challenging winters, and Merlot was really hard hit. In 2008, 2009, well-established Merlot vineyards, like 25-year-old vineyards, were decimated by cold damage. And so we kind of pulled back, I think, as a body, and said we need to put more effort into this, and I think it's really paid off. I think that throughout the province, the Merlots have gotten just more generous.
That's wonderful. How do we join the wine club?
Oh, just go to hillsidewinery.ca. It's easy.
Thank you, Kathy Malone. I look forward to your next releases. You have my complete and total attention. I love these wines.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you liked them.
Top to bottom, Kathy. Top to bottom.
We'll send you some more.
Wow. And have yourself a great harvest when it comes at you, full speed.
Well, thanks. You have a good year.
Thank you. And stay safe. Congratulations to the Nairmatter Bench.
Thanks.
Not only surviving, but thriving and being ahead of the pack.
Thanks.
You can find all the details, the descriptions, bottle shots, and the links that you need, and the price points at tastyroomradio.com. It's all under the banner mulliganstew.ca. Kathy Malone has been our guest for this two-parter. We'll be right back.